Hey everyone, and welcome to the Audaci-Tea, the podcast by women for women. And we are so excited to have you here. It is just me and Sovereign today. Gwen is out, and we will miss her a lot. We hope that she can join us for next week's episode. But in the meantime, let's give our Tea VIP members a shout out. We have 3 new VIP members. Thank you so much, Natalia, Shelly, and Elise. Y'all are the best. We are so happy to have you as part of our community. And
yes, welcome.
For everybody who's not signed up yet, there is a free tier. There is a support-only tier where you don't have to pay very much. I think we set it at like $4 or $5 a month. Oh, there's a tip jar where you only have to put in $1 a month. And I think it's all very much worth it to be part of the amazing community that we are cultivating on there. Gwen has been doing some blogging on there. I have a blog post that we'll be posting after this episode that I think you all will really, really enjoy. So get on in there and sign up. We'll make the VIP blog posts available to all tiers eventually. I think probably a week or 2 after they're out for the VIP members, we'll go ahead and make them public. We don't want to gatekeep anything, but if anybody would like early access to info and episodes and blogs and all that good stuff, and you want to support us, then that is the best way to do it. So thank you so much to those of you who have already been doing that. And today we're going to be talking about the life, the plight, the suffering of a mommy Bang-Maid. We're going to get into all of this after we have our tea, but we just thought it would be important to cover this with this whole rise in trad wife ideology that we have covered in, I think, our 4th episode. It's important to talk about what the realities of that look like, of a traditional wife, of a, that kind of stay-at-home romanticized picture of life. I think it's really important to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and that's what we're going to do today. And I'm just so excited to dig in. But first, let's have some tea. Something I've been thinking a lot about this week is, we started talking about this right when the election results came in, and we ended up recording our very first podcast episode after those election results came in. And we kind of called this, that there would be a mass silencing of women on platforms. We kind of called that, a lot of these people have been given the permission to go out there and harass and belittle women. And I think we're seeing that happen. Sovereign, how has your TikTok been doing lately? Like, how's the views? Because mine has been really terrible. It's been really hard to get traction. And I've heard the same from a lot of other creators in our space.
It's been the same for me. My views have been way down. I know we haven't done anything different as far as the way we upload. Nothing has really changed. This is not a coincidence.
Absolutely not.
So I don't know if it's TikTok. I don't know if it's the government. I don't know if it's, the politicians. I don't know what's happening. But as it's getting closer to the ban date, maybe they really are trying to clean house, save the money. Maybe they're complying with what the politicians want as far as censoring certain people who talk about certain things. It could be any number of things. I'm just not sure, but I definitely know and feel as though we have been targeted. And I've been watching, even on the timeline on TikTok, it's been creator after creator after creator. And many of them start their videos off kind of the same or similar. Like, is it just me or is everybody's views down? So it's a lot of us.
Yeah, I feel like the only way for TikTok to even stay a thing, they said that they'll have to divest and sell it to an American company, which that is more than likely going to be Meta. And the way that things are pushed through on Instagram and the kind of things that get censored and silenced on Instagram, that's what we're going to be subject to on TikTok. And so it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. And so, which is why we're trying to work our way off of that app, and we're trying to find ways to produce media that are not going to be as regulated or as subject to these last minute regulations that nobody's told anything about, right? It'd be one thing if they were like, hey, we feel like this content promotes something, negativity or something, like if they were to give any kind of guidelines or, anything, but they just suppress it because they have the option. We also noticed that they started suppressing the FemFreeze hashtag almost right away on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was the only one that got to make a video and it got like, a good number of views. Everyone that made a video after me, theirs did not do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really discouraging because there's a lot of important things to talk about. And I mean, I've had months where like my views just weren't as good, but this is definitely
They were never this low.
Yeah, this feels different. This feels very targeted, and it really feels like, because there's certain ratios, right, that with social media, like, if you get a certain number of shares, like in relation to the views, like you're like, oh, this has this many shares, like I know it's about to pop off.
Right.
And more often than not, they do. Or like if your likes are like a certain number compared to your views, you're like, oh, this video's doing really good. It's like racking up the likes, which means they're going to keep pushing it, and then they just don't. And so it's just been crazy watching that, because you're like, all these signs that I've come to know is like, oh, like my video's doing good is going to get pushed out. It's just not working anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely targeted, and I think it's definitely targeted for women in particular, because just like how our videos can be taken down for nothing, really.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me like 3 times last month.
Yeah. The guys, I'm not seeing any of the men's channels being banned or their comments, their horrific comments being taken down in people's comment sections. It's just us. And I think it's targeted towards women content creators in particular that are feminist, or that, because we're going against what they're trying to do, in this country in general. So anybody who they see as a threat, and I guess we would be seen as threats now. So let's silence them. And as far as TikTok goes, I don't think TikTok really cares. I think TikTok just has to abide by whatever the politicians are saying in this janky
They're just
country.
trying to cover their ass.
Yeah. I honestly don't want to see the owners of TikTok sell it to the U.S., though. I would much rather see TikTok go away than for Trump and all of them, or whoever, to get a hold of it. Because it won't, like I always say, it won't be worth shit anyways if they do. You know what I mean? I know they're going to censor it. I know they're going to make it to where, in my opinion, they're going to make it to where we can't really make money, because they think people just belong, in bread lines somewhere, or working at the gas station. People don't want to work these jobs as much as they used to before, especially the Gen Zers. And they can't stand the idea that there are Gen Zers or whoever on social media making a full living, like making so much money, and not working these dead end jobs. So I think that'll play a part as well. They don't want to see that. So they'll cut the funding, they'll make things illegal, or they'll make things against the law somehow, or they'll fine you for they're just gonna mess it all up. And it just wouldn't be worth it. One more thing. The biggest kick in the teeth for them would be for them to, if that guy sold it to, I don't know, Musk or whoever in this country, I would love to see this country spend, but what we used to say in the hood, a buku money on this app, just so that everybody on TikTok just delete it. That's like the ultimate outcome to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
they'll waste all that money, and we'll just literally just abandon it. Because once people see that, it'll turn into Facebook in no time.
Worse, it'll turn into Twitter.
Or Twitter. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what we already know we're capable of this. Like, people are not dealing with these billionaires on any level.
Oh, I know.
And it's only discouraging to me, like as much as I love to see it, it's only discouraging to me because the government is just going to protect them. Like, they're going to be like, oh, you poor babies. Yeah, the people don't want to give you like hordes of money anymore, so you can like, make sure their children like starve at their $5 an hour job. Like, oh my God, like they're just going to be the new protected class. Like, they feel the effects of like being a disadvantaged minority very quickly once it actually starts happening to them. And they want protections. But meanwhile, they're like making fun of like DEI and being like, oh, all this affirmative action stuff. And it's like, no, you're very quick to affirmative action when your life is threatened, when your livelihood is threatened. You want the government to come in and cover your ass. So that really pisses me off. But I think that we are more than capable of destroying another social media platform like we did Twitter. Super easy. Like most people just got off of it. The only people that were on it, like it just became kind of a troll farm. Like people responding to like trolls responding back to each other, right? Like extreme left, extreme right. Then eventually, like, I think once he got announced as like the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, I think a lot of people just straight up were like, no, fuck this.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was supposed to go down in flames and instead he got a better job. Like he has now the opportunity to shovel our tax money literally directly into his pockets.
Oh my God.
Instead of having to get subsidies and all that stuff. So people are pissed off. And I think it's the same with Zuckerberg. Like I even called this in one of my videos where I was talking about the parallels between the US and USSR right now. But I was like, I feel like a lot more billionaires are going to come around and start sucking on Trump's orange teat so that they don't like lose their income, so that they don't lose their giant like hordes of money. Like I don't really know how else to put it. Like they have so much money, but they still want more and they want more every year.
That's what I'm saying. How much money do you need?
That's what I'm saying. And now Zuckerberg is having dinner with him at Mar-a-Lago. Like Elon Musk spent Thanksgiving with him instead of like even one of his 12 children. Like, no, it's crazy. Like they're all gonna start warming up to him because they know what's about to start happening.
Yeah.
And TikTok is just gonna become a casualty in this.
I agree.
So anyways, look for us on YouTube. Look for us on podcast platforms. We are, I don't know, looking into Lemon 8. I'm not sure.
Yes, we're looking into Lemon 8.
We're not sure. We'll keep y'all updated. Gwen's on Blue Sky. Sovereign's on Blue Sky. I've never been on Twitter or Blue Sky because I'm a yapper. I cannot say things with 160 characters. So I'm not on there, but
I don't see myself doing too much on there either, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try Sovereign, though. I'll try.
Sovereign also has a Patreon now, right? Is that up yet?
Yes and no.
Okay. We're working on a Patreon for Sovereign. So if you I'm just trying to shout out all the places other than TikTok because Shar told me too that TikTok, because I was like, oh, isn't it like the kind of thing where they can't really prevent people from like having it on their phone? It's just like they won't update the app or whatever. And Shar was like, yeah, but they do updates like every day.
Yeah.
And so once like one of the updates doesn't go through, the app is going to be useless. So it really can just be like snatched away from us in January. So just if you're wondering where to find us, these are kind of the places that we're going so far.
What do you think about the VPN situation? Because somebody was asking me about that earlier, and I'm thinking if you're caught, what the penalty is.
Exactly. First of all, they're going to crack down on that. If they're going to our next T is relevant to that. But yeah, if they're going to crack down on that, I would not put myself in danger.
That's
like
what
that.
I was saying.
Also, if it's like on a VPN basis, that means I'm not getting paid. That means I'm not in the creator fund and I'm not doing this shit for free. Like it's way too much work for it to be just like a thing that I do for fun.
As a hobby.
Like as a hobby.
I agree. It's too draining.
No. It's very draining because you have to deal with everyone's opinion in the comments and like even the well-meaning people that you're like supposedly making this content for. It just can be like very overwhelming to do it, just knowing that you're absolutely not gonna get like any sort of compensation for it. And like the amount of effort people tend to want and expect is just not worth doing without compensation. So I wouldn't use it. I would just, I'd use it, maybe for my own entertainment. But if it's on a VPN basis, if there's any risk of me getting in trouble for it,
it won't be worth it.
I'm not going to do it.
That's what I said earlier to someone on my TikTok earlier. I'm like, if they're going this far to ban it, I'm sure it's going to be some kind of large fee you have to pay. If you get caught, you might have to go to jail. Who knows? If they're going this far, I don't tell them what the penalties will be.
Exactly.
For anybody out there who are wondering why content creators won't do that, won't just get a VPN to keep TikTok, that's why. Y'all are going to lose pretty much all of the content creators that you like on TikTok if this ban goes through. So you're just going to have to follow your favorite content creators on YouTube, Blue Sky, like she was saying. People have Patreons, or I don't know what else is out there. Lemonade, we're looking into Lemonade. So stay tuned for that.
But YouTube is going to be the best way. I mean, we have some big plans
I agree.
for all that are to be announced later. And speaking of penalties, we literally were talking about what our tea should be for today when producer Ryan found this clip.
And on the defamation lawsuits, could you see moving that to other people with individual platforms, social media influencers, people that...
Or newspapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest.
So the man who has literally made up lies, like the man who orchestrated an entire birther campaign against Obama, is now saying that people are very dishonest out there and that he's going to sue people personally for what? And here's the thing, again, if you don't come from a country that's ever been affected by dictatorship before or just like a failed government before, you're hearing this and you're like, yeah, but the justice system, I need you to understand.
Right.
But like, please.
That's over.
Please. I need you to understand, like, if it's not that, it's going to be, look at how Putin deals with people.
Yeah.
They fall out of windows.
Yeah.
So there's, when a person has such grandiose delusions, when a person has such a high view of themselves, when a person, and I'm not speaking about anyone in particular, but when a person has an affinity for other dictators, when a person has praised their, ruling style, and they like how people react to dictators, and they like that people are afraid of dictators, like that person is going to stop at nothing to silence any kind of negative opinions about them.
Yep.
And the justice system is not going to stop them. Not to mention, this is a justice system that they handpicked. The Supreme Court is basically at this point all handpicked by Trump and other Republicans.
They really are, yeah.
So even if you take it to the highest court in our country, they're going to vote not in your favor. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Because they're beholden to somebody else. And all of this is a sign that you're living in a failed state.
I've been trying to get people to realize the same thing. Like the whole, they can't do that. That's out the window.
Out the window.
Like it's literally like you have to mentally prepare yourself for a dictatorship because that's really what it feels like. It feels like that's where we're headed. And these are scary times, and like we say all the time, we never want to fearmonger anybody. We just want to put things out there so that you can find a way to protect yourself, your family, plan, right? It's all about planning, just in case. It's better to have stuff and not need things than to need it and not have it. Whatever that is for you, whatever it is.
100%.
And the craziest part is I never had an issue with Trump for like a long time. I ignored so much stuff because I just didn't pay attention to certain things. I really just didn't pay attention to certain things. But with the whole women's right, and don't get me wrong, he's been problematic before the women's rights stuff. But that is the thing that really perked my ears up, and I started really paying attention, and I started really going back to, certain things that he said in the past, and I'm just like, I wonder if he's going through, I won't be to call it a midlife crisis, an end of life crisis.
I think so.
Because the stuff he wants to do, it is, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Because even like years before, even like before he ran for president, and don't get me wrong, a person's mental health or whatever can decline a lot in a certain amount of time. I'm like, 10 years or whatever. But even before he ran for president, it was like, he was funny. I mean, he said stuff, but he wasn't, he didn't seem like he wanted to be a dictator. At least not to me, not in this way, not on this type of time that he's on. So now I'm just wondering like, where is this all headed? Because I think it's the end of life. end of life thing. I don't know what else to think.
I stand by my theory that Obama just roasted him too hard at that correspondence dinner, and he made it his life's like mission
to get revenge,
to avenge him. Yeah. And I think that's why he's been so like adamant about replacing Obamacare and like.
But why not just go after? Not saying that I want him to, but why not just go after Obama? Why go after the entire United States?
Because that was Obama's legacy. Because people think that Obama was a really good president. Like a lot of people are, they look at that presidency as historic, as, hopeful.
It is. I mean, it was.
Yeah. And I think that and I think he didn't like that right away because he's.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We know why.
Yeah, we know why. And so, I think he didn't like that success right away, which is why he started the birther campaign, which is why he was like, show us the birth certificate, da-da-da. And then when that like backfired and that didn't work out and it didn't get the reaction that he wanted, he was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And then he gets invited to this correspondence dinner and Obama's like, watch this, you guys. And like and he wasn't even that mean. He was just being truthful. Yeah. Like, I don't know. He was just like, oh, this guy's run every business he's ever owned into the ground. And it's like, that's true. That's objectively true. Yeah. That's not a falsehood. That's not a false statement. Like he basically just made fun of Trump's legacy. And I think Trump realized that his legacy wasn't shit, that he really had run every business he'd ever owned into the ground, that he really is like a Nepo baby. And he was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And that was that. I think Elon Musk is experiencing the same thing. Like he's just been made fun of. He's been humiliated. So now he wants to wield power like Thanos. Like he wants to be able to snap his fingers and like kill half of. I'm not even joking. Like it's crazy because men get their egos.
To me.
Yeah. A man with a hurt ego is the worst villain.
Oh, I agree with that.
Do you know? And I feel like that's what got him. I also feel like the first 4 years of his presidency, like people were making fun of him. And I just don't think he could handle that. I don't think his ego, like I feel like now he's like, no, I'm going to come back and you guys are literally going to think the sun shines out of my ass. And if you don't say that, I'm going to make you say that. And if I can't make you say that, then I'm going to shut you up.
And I agree with him. If he wants to get some kind of social revenge on people or whatever, I'm all for it. I get it. Why you taking it out on us? That's the part that I don't get. Yeah. We ain't do nothing to you. Like he had so many people that loved him or liked him a lot before he ran for president. Like he was the coolest, you know what I mean? People really liked him. And now he's just going to go down in history as like the most hated or something. Yeah. I don't know. Like what?
Men hype each other up to do these things. They really do. And we saw this with the Trump presidency like almost right away. I remember like when I was on Reddit and like there was so many like Trump like meme subreddits because men were just like obsessed with this idea of an unqualified, unprepared, hand grenade of a man to enter the White House. Like they just wanted to see what would happen. And they hyped him up and this is what happened. Like
they turned him into firewood.
Yeah.
No, that didn't go. I just felt like saying that. Oh my God, I'm never going to stop laughing about that. I mean, he might have to cut that out. I just felt like saying
No, I feel like we'll get into the explanation of that in a little bit when we talk about our main segment after this break.
All righty.
All right, we are back and we're ready to talk about this idea of a mommy bang-maid. I love that this has become a popular term because it really encapsulates the reality of a trad wife. And I'm just so excited to dig into this. And I just want to make the disclaimer here that what we're really talking, like I know that sounds like an extreme like name for something, but what we're really describing is a traditional marriage. We're not adding anything new to the concept. This is what has always been expected of women in marriage. We just now have a proper name for it. And mind you, it was expected from women in marriage because women didn't have access to resources.
Yep.
And this is why men still are looking for marriage in this day and age, and women are not. They're like wholesale turning away from it. And I know that there's been a lot of brainwashing towards trad wifery and like masculine, feminine gender roles. And it does seem that that's working on the younger generation. But women that are of marriage age right now are opting out, or they're getting married later, or they're having higher standards, or whatever. But I just want to talk about just the realities of it, and how you can tell that you're in that situation as a woman. Because a lot of women mistake, once again, this is like a traditional marriage model. So a lot of women don't really know how much they're being taken advantage of, just because their man gets to justify it with, well, I go to work. And it's like, sir, you bring in $60K.
Yeah.
Like, let's get real.
Be so effing for real.
So yeah, there's been, I think I sent you a couple of these like meme posts where a lot of women were doing these trends of like one day of butterflies every time you see him, and then the next thing you know, you're scrubbing his poop stains off the toilet bowl. Or like me wondering how bending over one time turned into a lifetime of bending over. And it's like a woman loading a dishwasher. And this is what they're trying to sell to you with romance. God. This is how they get you. This is like why they tell you all these fairy tales about like like your prince will find you. Like, no, this is the day-to-day reality of quote unquote finding your prince. I also want to make it very clear that you shouldn't feel bad if you find yourself stuck in this situation. Awareness is the first step. It's like 50% of it. And you also need to have the awareness that this has been fed to you your entire life, like on a platter. Like every time, like I was thinking about this driving in, when girls show an interest towards like cooking or something when they're younger, it's always like, oh, you're going to be a great wife and mommy. But if a boy shows an interest towards cooking or something like that, it's you're going to be a chef. Oh, you want to be a restaurateur. You want to be an entrepreneur. You're going to be serving this in like fancy restaurants. And it's like when it comes to like that kind of household labor, men always expect to be compensated and paid for it. It's always framed in terms of like a career.
Yeah.
You know, if a little boy's organized, it's like, oh, you're going to be a businessman. Like you're so neat. You're so, you're going to be a lawyer or something like that. You know, if a boy is cleaning, it's like the biggest deal ever. And it's like, oh, we'll go out for ice cream after this. And like, you're such a good, little helper. Whereas a girl, it's like, well, yeah, of course you cleaned up after yourself. Like you should have done it better. Like you should have done it before I got home from work. Like moms kind of negatively reinforce girls helping when it's like, yeah, that was expected. Like, what do you want me to do? Like pat you on the head? Like, obviously, why didn't you do it sooner? Yeah, I think a lot of girls grow up with that mindset and then turn into women that are prime mommy Bang-Maid material, because you're also taught to view it as a point of pride when you are basically a man's competence. Like when a man is like incompetent without you, it's like, oh, you're a good woman. And it's like, no, if a man without your presence and without you doing everything for him is like walking out of the house with his shoes on backwards and like socks on his ears, like that's not a point of pride that you're with that man, helping him make it painfully through every step of his life.
Exactly.
But a lot of women view that as a point of pride, because it's like, well, without that, what else do you offer him? And that's a whole nother discussion that we'll really need to get into. But yeah, like a lot of men are very transactional about this kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. I mean, what do you think constitute, like, what are some of the signs that you're a mommy Bang-Maid? Like what can we sort of tell women to watch out for? Because I think this starts before you start having kids.
Men who expect you to cook for them.
Yeah.
They expect for you to give them sex whenever they want it, whether you want it or not. That's your job. They expect for you to run their errands. They expect for you to do all of the domestic labor in the house. If they are going to go for a job or something, and they don't know how to put together a resume, there are guys out there who expects that you, this is your job. You're supposed to help me, right? It's just every little waking, walking aspect of their lives is put in the hands of the woman that they're with. So they go from mother to girlfriend or mother to wife or whatever, expecting whatever ways in which the mother coddled them, they expect you to take on the exact same roles. The only difference is you are having sex with them and their mom wasn't. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh my God.
Because we've heard stories.
We have. I just read a Reddit post about a man who still sleeps in the same bed as his mom. He's married.
How creepy is that? What? Oh,
He's
that's
married.
grounds for
And
divorce.
when they go, and when they go to like visit her or something, or like, but he's
That
like,
is
we've always
weird.
done that. That's like cultural. And she's like, I asked everybody like else that I know from his culture, and they were like, fuck no. They were like, no.
Did she not know that before she married him?
It's a good question. I think a lot of the mistakes that women make in these situations is they think it's going to stop when the man gets married. They assume that men have like this switch in their head that also flips when they get married or when they have kids. So a lot of women are happy to wait on their husband hand and foot until they have a baby because they view that as like an investment in the relationship. It's like, oh, well, when we have a baby, he's going to remember all the stuff that I did for him, and he's going to remember like how great that was, and he's going to want to be a good person for our child. Or they just think that like, oh, well, once the baby comes along, he's going to want to be seen as a good dad. He's going to want to be a good dad. Like, no.
How naive.
No. How naive. No, he's just going to be resentful of you for no longer paying attention to him like a baby.
Exactly.
He's going to be mad that he's going to be like, oh, my wife only pays attention to our baby now. He's going to be one of those guys. He's going to go on the internet and make a post about how you have stopped giving him sex and attention ever since the baby came along.
I still can't get over men being jealous of infants.
Yep.
Like I just don't. I don't know. I don't know.
That baby has taken his rightful place in the house. He was the king baby. And now there's another king baby. Like now there's a baby taking precedence over the king baby. And he's like, this is just a stupid baby. How could it be possibly more interesting than me?
Right.
The main character.
I've always that has always been another fear of mine as far as having kids, is that you never know. Sometimes you do know that the guy would be that way. But when you don't see any signs, you don't know if he's going to turn into that. And that is just so not worth the risk to me. Like, I'm just
And it is a risk because a lot of men will beg you to have a child.
They will beg you.
They will be like, no, this is everything I want. Like, I can't wait to have kids with you. Like, can we please? Like, I just can't wait to have a baby. And this is exactly how they trap you in that mommy Bang-Maid mode. Because once they start sensing that you are like
trapped.
They want you trapped, because once they start sort of like seeing that you have potential outside of them, you know, say it's been like a couple of years, you guys haven't had kids, but your career is going really well, they're going to start begging you to have a kid. Or you got an opportunity doing something like unorthodox, like you're now having to like travel, or maybe you are going back to school. That's when they're going to want to get you pregnant.
Yep. I always tell women to watch out for that, because and be careful, and don't expect a man to do the right thing as far as like whatever y'all have as far as birth control. You still need your own backup. You should be on birth control. You should be, you know, if you're not wanting to have kids while you're in school, or while you're trying to finish up something, or start a business, or whatever you're trying to do, I promise you that is the one time that men are going to want to knock you up. Most of the time it's not to take care of the baby or to be a father. It's just to sit you down and stop you from accomplishing whatever it is that you were going to accomplish. You just have to be really careful. That's usually, if you talk to most women, that's their story. They got pregnant when they got accepted into the nursing program, or when they were a couple semesters away from graduating, or they got a promotion at work, or like that. That's when a lot of women get pregnant. But they have to take responsibility for that too, because like I said, you have to like know, and I'm not saying guys don't trick women and stealth women and all that, because they do. That's why you have to like be on your P's and Q's, dot your T's. Dot your I's and cross your T's.
And really consider whether it's worth it.
Yeah, literally.
Is it worth it for a lifetime of responsibility that he's not going to help you with, even if he sticks around? That's the thing. People make a big deal out of like, oh, like men run off and whatever. Why is it worse when they stay?
Oh, God, it's 10 times
like
worse.
Literally married women get less sleep than single mothers. Married mothers get less sleep than single mothers. That, when I read that, that pissed me off so bad, because I know why. I know why they get less sleep. And it's because their man has needs, quote unquote. And it's like, that is so disgusting. Just to take a woman who's already like buckling under the weight of everything, and then at like 10:30, 11 p.m., start poking her in the back with a fucking erection. Like, please, like, you should be in jail. A woman should be able to call 911 and be like, this man has not lifted a finger all day. I've changed every diaper since our man was born, and he's poking me in the back with an erection. and a unit should show up at your house and make him spend the night in jail, so that another man can poke. I'm so serious, because you should know the feeling, because men do not have natural empathy. You have to foster it in them with things like that. You really do, because they don't care about shit until it happens to them. They don't care about any woman's experience. It's not all men until there's a possibility that they're going to go to jail. And then they're scared of men and they don't want to go to jail. Now they're scared of men too. And now what kind of things are going to happen to them in prison? They don't want to go to prison. They will ignore your experience. I'm so serious, ladies. They do not care. They think this is your job.
Yes.
And they will do anything. Because here's the thing. A lot of women ask, why are men so useless? Why are they so incompetent? Even when they try to help, it just makes it worse. And I'm telling y'all, it's because they do not want to participate in the mental load. They are checked out of that. They think that's women's work, and they resent it. And they resent you every time you try to involve them. There was this video on TikTok of a woman who made the most incredibly detailed list for her husband to make a simple grocery store trip. She said, crackers, aisle 9, picture below. Right? She said, this kind of juice, any kind of flavor except for this kind of thing, because I need it because I'm going to be making this. Like, she gave him every reason to be able to go to the store, look at this list, and just go down every aisle and find what he needed. And he still managed to call her 6 times.
Oh my God.
6 times. Just asking her the dumbest shit. Like, where is it? And like, oh, they don't have it. And then and it's like, I can't think of any reason that he would do that other than to make her regret sending him to the store with that list.
The weaponized incompetence.
Exactly. Because he wanted to get a generic list, and then he wanted to be able to just grab whatever, throw it in the basket, come home, and then she deals with it. She deals with, oh, well, the kids are not going to drink this flavor. Yeah. So it's like wasted. They're going to throw a fit if I put it in their lunchbox. The husband himself will buy things that he doesn't like and then be like, oh, I don't like that. Why'd you put it on the list? Why'd you buy it then? Like, you prefer the other brand. Like, they just don't care, because it's not cool or manly to them to run around the grocery aisles like a woman. They don't want to do that.
I remember when I used to test guys when I was in my 20s to see who would go to like Walmart or Walgreens to get me a box of tampons.
Yep.
And
great vetting strategy. Seriously, very good vetting strategy.
And a lot of them refused.
Yep.
They fucking refused. And I had this one boyfriend. He was like, why would I give a fuck? Everybody knows they're not for me. He's like, if anybody sees it, they're not gonna say anything. They're gonna assume I'm getting them from my girlfriend or my sister or my mom. And I was like, okay, I thought that was really cool. Like, he just didn't care, and I really like that. But the rest of them, oh my God, you would have thought I was asking them to, I don't know, like just do something horrific.
They're so afraid of being perceived as a woman
or as weak or
a
simp.
But all of that is associated with women. right? Like simping, even that's associated with women. Because what is simping if not cleaning up somebody's dirty socks off the floor
Absolutely.
when they throw them next to the hamper, scrubbing somebody's dookie stains out of a toilet? That's simping, that's something men would never want to be seen doing. And that's why they make fun of like Russell Wilson. And they're like, oh, like he's doing too much. What do you mean? You guys are the ones complaining about there's no good role model men. There's no good fathers out
I
here.
know.
And then you see a man being a good role model and a good father. And you're like, oh,
You call him
he's
every name in the book.
Like, yeah.
Oh
You call
my
him
God.
everything but a child of God. Like, there's nothing. He's a simp. He's, she's ran through and like all this stuff. It's crazy. Meanwhile, when Sierra was with Future and he was publicly cheating on her, publicly humiliating her, publicly abusing her, these men were like, well, is she down for him or not? Is she loyal or not?
Literally. Oh my God. I hate
And the
every
hypocrisy
moment
knows
of that.
no bounds. And so we're here to tell you women, like men know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing when they say these things, when they, make fun of men who are actually trying, is because they're trying to keep, it's like a union, right? It's like bargaining power. They're trying to keep the demands really low because if it goes up, then that means more of them have to put in an effort. And they'll actually have to start taking from themselves and giving to women, to these same women that they're asking to have their children, the same women that they're asking to have their breakfast, lunch, and coffee ready before they leave for work, the same women that, is going to get blamed for not switching out his laundry and he doesn't have work clothes ready. They want you as women to expect nothing but to give everything. And that's what a mommy Bang-Maid is. Because that's what a mom does, right? She gives of herself so that her kids can have it all. And she doesn't expect a single thing back in return for that if she's a good mom, right?
Yep.
Up until your child is 18 years old and even beyond that, because you brought them into this world without them asking you to. You're not like giving them a gift. Look around. Okay, you've brought them into crazy circumstances, okay, to say the least. And for you to ask your child to do anything is wrong. For you to ask an adult human male who is, right? Who we're the ones that didn't have rights to vote. Like, this is what gets me at the end of the day. Like, we're the ones that get our rights taken away. Meanwhile, these men cannot be asked to put socks on a baby. They will literally go out of their way to find gloves and put them on the baby's feet.
Oh my God.
So that you never ask them to do it again.
Yeah.
It's very insulting and it's just disheartening to me because there's certain subreddits that are full of women that are literally just somehow trapped with these kinds of men, either financially or because these men baby trapped them. And I'll never get tired of saying this, but you cannot be baby trapped as a man. You can only be baby trapped as a woman.
Yeah.
And so that's what these men do. And speaking of that, we had another screenshot that I wanted to talk about. There was a man who posted saying that my wife is trying hard to get back in shape. Meanwhile, I've got plans to get her pregnant again.
Oh my God. Yeah, I seen that. And it was just a picture of her like in the living room in front of the TV trying to do like a fitness routine. And it was like a point of view camera pointing at her. And the guy is like plotting on getting her pregnant. Like, and he's posting it as a joke or whatever, but that's actually what they do. Like that's literally what they do.
Oh, she has 15 minutes of time to herself now. That
How
the
do
baby
I make this about me?
Exactly. How do I make this about me? And they'll beg you, like literally beg you to have another kid, or they'll just quote unquote not be careful. And the whole time you as a woman are either thinking that it was an honest mistake. And I've seen this, and I swear to God, they're not subtle about it. And I think that men are not really capable of joking. They're only capable of telling like a half truth about themselves.
That's true.
I think that's true for a lot of people, but I just think with men, it's like especially true. But the woman will be like, oh yeah, we got pregnant on accident. And the man will be like, who says it was an accident?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I will serve you divorce papers. Like,
I swear.
If it were me, I would serve
Oh my
divorce
goodness.
papers. That's fucking crazy. Because I know a couple that was like, oh yeah, we decided we were going to get pregnant. It was kind of later on in life. And they were like, we thought about being child free, but then we thought, oh, like, let's just have a baby and we'll go to like Europe first. We'll like do this whole thing. Like we'll do a year of like where it's just us and whatever. And then bam, she gets pregnant.
Oh my God.
And then on her second kid, she wrote like some kind of Instagram post to her husband and she made a joke and was like, oh yeah, like thanks for accidentally getting me pregnant twice. And he was like, who says it was an accident? And I was like,
that makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a red flag for men to pressure women into having a baby? I do too.
Absolutely.
So I think women,
not
if
your
a
body,
man
not
is
your
pushing,
choice.
if a man is pushing you into having a baby, understand that his intentions are not good. Because any man who really loves you and cares for you, it's not to say that he'll never ever want kids with you, but it's just that if you already stated that you're not ready right now, or you're trying to finish your degree, or you're trying to get your business off the ground, whatever it is, you want to travel, you want to write a book, whatever it is you want to do, and right now is not the time, and he keeps pressuring you, and also he's I'm trying to find a PG way to say it. He's finishing.
Yeah.
And all that stuff after you told him you're not ready for that. He doesn't have good intentions. His whole goal is to trap you. And it doesn't, I want women to understand this too, because there are a lot of women out there who think that if a man is trying to trap them, it means, wow, he must really love me. He must really.
Thank you.
He doesn't want to lose
me. They view it as a compliment.
Oh my God. Understand that if a man really, really gives a fuck about you, he's not going to keep badgering you about having a baby. He's not going to put you in positions for you to have a baby. He's not going to finish in you. He's not going to be doing all that. He's just not. The most important thing is that he's going to respect your wishes. Exactly. And any man that's trying to like push your boundaries, oh no, come on, it'll be great. He does not have good intentions. And just because he wants to get you pregnant doesn't mean he's going to be a father either.
Yes. Because as a man, that's crazy to do. And I'll give y'all an example. But my husband and I were fence sitters for a while. We started out when we got married. The plan was to have at least one kid and like see how it goes. And we were very young when we got married. So the reality of that had not sunk in. And the first couple years we were like, oh, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. Like, it's not the time to start trying, whatever. And then we started thinking about it a little more seriously. And we were like, well, okay, if we were going to do it, like, when would we want to do it by? Like, is that a realistic timeline? And we were like, okay, like, maybe it's just not as much of a priority. Maybe we just put it on the back burner. Because mind you, again, we had a lot of time to decide. Like, nobody was in a rush. And then finally, we just got to a point where like it wasn't coming up. Like, neither one of us was like, hey, so like, when, like, should we not? And I decided as like a last ditch sort of like, to cover our bases, I was like, how about this? Like, if one of us like wakes up one morning and is like, oh my God, like, I really want to have a baby. Like, the biological clock is ticking, whatever. Then the other one will just sort of like, that's it. Like, that's how we'll decide.
Say, okay, sure.
Yeah. And I thought that was a very reasonable plan because I was a dumbass. And so I think it took like less than 3 days for my husband to come back to me and be like, I just kind of want to bring it back to this like kids conversation because you said this thing. And I understand like if it were you being like, hey, like I want to have a kid and like we should do it. Like he's like, I might go along with it. Yeah. I might be more likely to go along with it. But I think it would be crazy to put you in that position for me to wake up one morning and be like, I'm ready to have a kid. And then you have to have a kid. He's like, I would never have a kid for a man. Like, I would never have a kid, like, period. He's like, I would never go through what it is required of a woman to go through. Yeah. I just wouldn't do that. Like, even if I could, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I never thought about it that way. Yeah. And again, because we as women are so conditioned into thinking that a man wants to get you pregnant, that's a compliment. Yeah. It's not a compliment. It is. And any sane man will know that, right? Like, absolutely. It took my husband just a couple days of deliberation to be like, you know what? Something's off about this. I don't like this. I don't like putting that kind of, right. And I thought so too. I was like, well, that's really like honest, I'm glad you said that. And like, come to think of it, I also don't think I ever want to put my body through that. And I don't think I want that kind of responsibility. And I like what we have now. And we'll talk about all this a lot more in our child-free episode that's going to be coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But that's just one example of like a man who has your best interests at heart. That's how he's going to feel about you getting pregnant.
Absolutely.
He's going to be like, I would if any man is being honest with himself, he would never trade places with you. Never, 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 never.
Under
never,
no circumstances.
Never. No man wants to know what the miracle of birth is like. I'm sorry. They don't. And I know that for a lot of women, it's like a beautiful and awesome experience. And I'm so happy for y'all. And I know that the hormones are strong. I know that it's a very like intense and bonding experience.
Yeah.
But I think if a lot of men were being honest with themselves, they would be like, hell no, you do it.
I totally agree. And also be aware that there are men out there that just wants to see if their sperm works. I'm so serious.
You're so right, but it's so
like
true.
They literally just like, I got her pregnant. Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a father. Don't care about you. Don't care. And some of them would just go from woman to woman, like, with no regard. So please don't take that as a compliment. If you want to have a baby, have it for you.
Just for you. Literally as if that man was not going to be present in your life.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's kind of what my husband told me. He's like, that's the reality of it for women. Like, he was like, I would only want you to have a baby if you want to have a baby. Because
that's awesome.
Yeah, there's just no guarantees in life. There's no guarantee that even your amazing, involved, like loving husband, father, whatever, is not just gonna walk outside and get hit by a car.
I think he needs to be cloned, and Ryan.
No, for real.
And Ryan has to be cloned.
Yeah.
So every woman, you get the
technology
one of these,
will
and
catch
you get
up.
one, and you get
Yeah. That's what we need to focus on, because at this point, it's too many bad eggs. Like, you can't. You know what I mean? Like, we used to say, like, oh, you wouldn't eat out of a box of, if I gave you a box of like 20 chocolates and I said one of them, it has shit in it, you probably wouldn't eat any of the chocolates, right? At this point, I think we're talking one out of 20. We're talking 19 out of 20.
I swear.
We're talking there's a 1 out of 20 chance that you may get a chocolate that doesn't have shit in it. Maybe. But mind you, it's been sitting in the same box. Okay.
Oh my God.
So you still got to be careful.
The remnants of it.
There might be a smell, it's like
a lingering scent.
Yeah. I'm so serious.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But that's literally what it's like out here. Like,
because these men will watch you work yourself to the bone. And then they'll go out to the bar with their buddies, or they'll be at a family get together being like, yeah, I worked so hard for this ungrateful bitch. She's just, the ball and chain, and like, she's always bitching about this or that. And it's like, I go to work and I like, okay, she works 24/7, 365.
Right.
You work 8 hours a day. Right. You have no leg to stand on when it comes to like childcare, nothing. You just take. You wake up and you take. That's, that's most men literally wake up with that mindset of a toddler. What do I want to do today, and how am I going to get there? Who do I have to whine at? What tantrum do I have to throw?
Right.
How intimidating, like how angry do I have to get? Who do I stomp my feet at? Where do I slam my fist on the counter to get what I want? And they're just like a tank, mowing down anything in their path. And it's just so disturbing to me.
That's
that
a good visual, actually, because I'm picturing,
right.
That's exactly what a lot of them are.
Yeah. They just run over you every single day. Every single day, they just walk out of the bedroom and like run you over proverbially.
You ever see The Mummy, any of the Mummy movies?
I did. Yeah, I just recently watched it.
Which one?
The original. The Brendan Fraser.
That's the perfect one. So in the original one, did you see when Imhotep, however you say his name, He had to in order for him to regenerate, he had to go around and like suck the life out of all the people who opened up this like sacred chest with
the crypt,
Anaxamun's like organs in it or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a good movie, by the way.
Yeah,
but anyways,
it's a great movie.
That's how I see men as impotent. They just go from woman to woman and they literally drain. And then when you saw their bodies, after he drained and the life out of them and took their organs and everything, and they were just like this like mummified corpse or whatever. Every time I think of, whenever I hear any woman on social media say that men are draining the life out of women, that is... That is literally the visual that I get in my head of like,
it's perfect.
They literally go around draining the life and they don't care. They don't have any empathy.
Do not care.
They feel justified in doing it. That's why they can jump from woman to woman, baby mama to baby mama, wife to wife. One wife leaves them or dies. They're married again in 3 months. Like they don't care.
And they use it against you. Like we've started calling this like boyfriend air, right? And women are like, oh my gosh, like why is it that I always have such a glow up after I exit out of a relationship? And I remember when men were first reacting to that, they were like, yeah, so why would you, this is why, like women just let themselves go in relationships. And it's like, I actually really fucking hate y'all. I really do. Because how do you still make this about yourself? Women are literally out here saying I was thriving, you know, styling and profiling when I was, you know, single. Exactly. I was out here every day, nails done, hair done, makeup done, nobody to ruin all of it.
Right.
Like my room was clean, my house was in order, and now I have a boyfriend and I'm in sweats and a messy bun all day because it doesn't matter what I do. He's going to come home and touch my face and my hair with his greasy, dirty hands.
Oh, no.
I have acne now because of his beard. I have like all this stuff. I'm like pregnant now. I'm like literally suffering. Like my teeth are falling out. Like,
yeah.
And men are like, yeah, see, you bitches, you just let yourself go.
They never know. They never understand it's them.
It's literally you. And I was thinking about the phrase earlier, how men will, this is another way that society gaslights women into doing all this thankless work, but they'll be like, you know, you give a woman something and she multiplies it. You know, you give a woman a house and she makes it a home. You know, you give a woman.
I've seen those.
Right? Right? And it's like, here's my question. What happens when you give something to a man?
Oh my. You should. That's a good one.
I've been just thinking about that all day. All day. What happens? You ever seen a woman 20 years into a marriage versus a man? Like, who's doing better? Who's working out every day? Who has the time to go to the gym every day?
Right. I know you're going to break it down in such a way where even the most incompetent dude will have to be, even if he's not honest with anybody else, he would have to be like, oh, no shit. Dang, I never thought of it that way. You know, which that's wishful thinking. But
right,
I know you're gonna break it down in a way to where like,
thank you,
they're gonna get it. Like, because
oh my god,
you have no other choice but to sit there to yourself in a room. You don't have to be around your boys. I know you know these men can't like be a certain way around guys or admit certain things or whatever. But if they hear that, I already know. I'm picturing in my mind.
Fingers crossed.
How you gonna break this down? Because it's like, man, you have no other choice but to get it. Like,
yeah,
the problem
it's a lot of people don't ask the question. And I'm so surprised.
They don't.
And I'm surprised, but I think we shouldn't be surprised because women's rights has been an on and off thing, right? It's been always hanging by a thread. And we thought we had such a good grip on it, and we really didn't. It just slipped right through our fingers.
I totally agree.
And so it kind of makes sense because a lot of our mothers, aunts, grandmothers, they were like, just, you know, he's fine. He's nice. He goes to work. He has a car. He looks clean. Like, what are you complaining about? You know, he's not beating you. He's not cheating on you. He doesn't have a family 3 houses down. All this kind of stuff men were allowed to get away with. And
because
it's like,
he put gloves for socks on the baby. That's why.
No, but seriously, and they'll be like, no, but at least he tried.
Oh,
but
I know
he tried. You know, my husband, he didn't even know where the baby clothes were. My husband never changed a diaper in his life. This is something a lot of millennial women face. They'll be like, oh, I go to work and my husband still doesn't, help me out that much. And they're like, oh, well, I saw your husband at the park with the kid just a couple days ago. And it's like, oh, he's such a good dad.
Oh, I know.
And
oh my God.
you can't do anything right as a woman.
That's why I opted out.
Yeah.
If you're gonna you will not, if you're gonna blame me for anything, you will not blame me for having anything to do with breaking up a family because I left an abusive man, or you know what I mean. You just can't call me a single. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a single mother. I'm just saying you just can't call me anything. Like you can just call me a cat lady, which is a actual compliment to me.
And I think that's so interesting because a lot of the things that men say to sort of discourage women from an independent and single and unencumbered lifestyle are just like this vague thing that they themselves are really afraid of. Like, we already know that they're projecting, but it's also like there's no real thought behind it. Like, what's the insult? You're a cat lady. What's the insult? I'm hearing you have a home. I'm hearing you have money to take care of somebody other than yourself. I'm hearing you have an animal that the Egyptians used to worship as a god in your house and it likes you. I'm hearing lots of different things, and I'm not hearing any insult there. I'm hearing you don't have a man in your house.
Something sucking the life out of you. And
that's what I'm hearing.
Being liked by cats is the only validation I need. Because it's very hard to like win over the affection and trust of cats. But if you do, that's it.
That's it. And
that's all the
also,
validation I care about.
Cats have been like clinically proven to be beneficial. Like, they can actually heal you a little bit. Like,
with their
when
purring?
they get when they get on you and purr, that's like a really good frequency or something, and it can help to like with heart problems. It can help with like, it's crazy, and people don't talk about that. And it's like, yeah, that is so much better than a man, because a man will do the opposite every single day. Like, women's life expectancy goes down when they're married, and men's life expectancy goes up. So it's like, how is that not directly correlated? Like, one of you is living longer and one of you is living less. How do you not put two and two together at that point? Or like the whole married moms versus single moms getting more sleep stat. Like, that has actually kept me up at night, because I'm just like, what is the reason? Like, you're literally alone with the kids. It should be harder. And that's like a lot of women will get on the internet and encourage other women, and they'll be like, no, it's going to be easier. I know you're afraid to leave your husband now, but trust me when I say your life is going to get 100 times easier. You're going to have more money. You're going to have more free time. You're going to have a better relationship with your kids, and you're just going to be thriving, because this man is literally feeding off of you. A lot of men are just looking for a host. They're not looking for a wife. They're not looking for a partner. They're not even looking for somebody they can like sit around and have a conversation with, or
That's
anything
so
like that. They don't give a fuck.
That's so true.
They don't give a fuck.
I can imagine it's easier, and I'm not even like a divorcee or a single mom. But the ways that I can observe and know that it's easier, that's one less person that you have to cook for. Mm-hmm. That's one less person's dirty socks that you have to pick up next to the hamper. Mm-hmm. Clothes you have to wash. Nobody poking your back at night after you've been tired all day. You get more energy. You have a little bit more time to do stuff, and you may not think you will, but you will, because if women sat down and thought about it, a lot of your running around does have to do with the kids, but a lot of it has to do with you trying to do everything for this man. I gotta wash his clothes. I gotta make sure he does this. Mm-hmm. I gotta make sure dinner is ready. I gotta blah, blah, blah. Like even if it's, let's just say 50-50, that's still going to be 50% of the load taken off of you by removing yourself out of a situation that is not healthy for you. But a lot of women don't find that peace and happiness until after they leave. A lot of women are afraid. The ones who have left were afraid to leave at one point. And they will all tell you, like, it gets easier. It gets a lot easier.
It's a canon event. The women that are so afraid to leave their husbands to thriving, single mom pipeline is crazy, but it's a canon event.
The criticism, I missed that part. You don't have to worry about
Yeah.
A man criticizing your every move or your body or the way you burn the macaroni. Like, that's a
Yes.
big part. Like, that burden would be gone.
Just the constant nagging. Yes, the constant, like, you've let yourself go, or like, they don't even have to nag you directly. You're finding their porn search history. You're
Oh, I
finding
know.
their, YouTube, TikTok accounts where they're following like barely legal teens. It's all so disturbing, and that all takes a mental toll on your health. Like, that takes an incredible toll on your health. That is abusive behavior. That's somebody who promised to be faithful to you,
Right.
somebody who promised, to take care of you. And here they are, possibly even spending money, taking money out of your children's mouth to pay for Sophie Rain's, TikToks or whatever,
Exactly.
for her OnlyFans. And it is just wild. And it's wild that for a lot of people, that's like a badge of like, you like dishonorably, you like abandoned your family as a woman. And like the man is still going to be able to like make up an entire narrative about you, about how you were a freeloader
Yep.
and a gold digger. And, you never really did anything. And like, he's probably going to lie and like said you cheated on him, anything to garner sympathy, because that is what it is. Like, they don't want to be held accountable. I really like that you brought up the criticism part, because that's the part that pisses me off the most, because they have so many opinions on things that they've never tried to do, on things that they don't
Could
do on the
never do.
exactly,
Yeah.
could never do, that they don't do on the regular, but they want things done a certain way, and that's how they view leadership. And that's because that's how leadership has been presented to them, right? It's not a golden rule type of thing, it's a hierarchy. And I think Gwen said that last time in our episode, but it's not like we respect each other so we treat each other as we would want to be treated. It's respect means that you can hold things over people's heads. Like, you can say, this is my house, or I make the money, and I pay for all this.
That's their idea of like
Being respected.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that. Mind you, they're fine with that, because that's how other men treat them, and that's how they treat other men. So they're fine with that. And honestly, like, at the end of the day, the reason that so many men are okay with making you a mommy bang-maid is because they only care about other men's opinions. They don't care what you think of them. At the end of the day, they don't care what you think of them, as long as you're performing all of your duties that they want you to perform. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a boss. Like, your employees don't have to like you. They just have to do their job. Even when women do work and they still perform all of these things, like, it slows them down. Like, you'll never, like, the man's career is still considered like more primary and more respected. And it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So because of that, anytime that kids need to be picked up from school, they don't call the dad, they call the mom. Anytime that, anything needs to be done, it falls on you. If somebody needs to go to the sport event, it's going to be the mom. If somebody needs to leave work early, it's the mom. If somebody needs to get to work late, it's the mom. And so therefore, your career is going to suffer while your husband's career flourishes, because somebody has his undies, fresh and clean and crisp and ironed for him every morning. Meanwhile, you don't have shit done for you. You have to do everything for everybody.
Yep.
And I want to also say that a lot of men, like, once the kids start getting older, they want to get you pregnant again, because it puts you back in that mommy mode. Because once the kids get more independent and you start being able to do more things for yourself, like, that's one thing as a woman, you start finding your independence again, you start looking better. And then the man is literally sitting there plotting on how to get you pregnant again, and how to make you more just like tired and like run you haggard, just so that he can continue being lazy.
I was reading something, it was called the Mommy Bang-Maid Continuum on Reddit.
What?
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit. Now, this one
we
is
need a link.
Okay. No, it's really quick. I just kind of wanted to read it because I know it's women everywhere who can relate to this. But she says, I hate how normal it is for men to talk about women like we're supporting cast in their film. Men in real life have literally gotten mad at me for not simply adhering to the role of providing comfort and being the woman behind the quote unquote successful man. I've actually been shamed for it by a man I had been casually seeing for about a month. He wanted me to be a feminine goddess, but didn't have a masculine bone in his body. It was fucking ridiculous. Now I don't even tell men that I can cook. They really expect you to mother them and fuck them. I just present myself as domestically useless to weed out the losers who have had their brain rot by watching too many shitty movies. And then one more said, truly masculine men are repulsed by traditionally feminine women. Why would a well-adjusted and psychologically mature male want a partner and have sex with a woman that mothers him and treats him like one would treat a helpless toddler? Why would he even have childlike fantasies of honor and gaming bullshit instead of being a productive member of society? This is borderline paraphilic. Males call themselves masculine when they're anything but. They're mentally stunted with the sexual urges of mature adults.
I mean, couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, I read that and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women out there who feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called the Mommy Bang-Maid Continuum and why you shouldn't fall into the trap on Reddit. Some of these posts are a few years old, but they're still very relevant, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people were very prescient about this. Like a lot. I mean, I was reading like relationship subreddits and parenting and mom subreddits for years before I started speaking on it. And I was just kind of like gathering the information, like trying to make sense of it because I had such a different experience with men growing up that I didn't realize that literally so many of them were useless and malintentioned towards women. Like not just useless, but literally being like, you're going to be the one that I like destroy.
Yeah.
Like conquer and destroy and control. And it's just so sad. And I was trying to make sense of it and I just never could until I realized how much women were brainwashed into all of this and really prepped and primed to be perfect little mommy bang-maids when they all grow up. Like your husband's not supposed to know how to do anything. It's supposed to be funny, you know, when he tries something and fails miserably, like when he tries something and like does it so wrong that it's kind of like you can't even make this shit up. Like it had to be on purpose how wrong it was done.
Yeah.
And we're taught to just laugh that off. I mean, there's a great show about this called Kevin Can Go F Himself. And a lot of people have been telling me to watch it and I just started and it's really great. It just shows like those two different sides of like when the woman is around her husband, she's like, it's all viewed as like a sitcom and it's like funny. There's a laugh track and he does all these stupid things and she just has to deal with it. But then whenever he's not there, it switches to like this very serious, dramatic kind of like cinematic style. And you see that this woman is actually miserable and she's trying to get out of this marriage and she's doing everything she can. And it's a really good way to visualize like how most men see their family and their wives and they're like, oh, all of this is just funny and cute and quirky and my wife thinks this is hilarious and she loves taking care of me and changing my diaper. And it's like, no, this woman is miserable. She hates you and she's plotting like her every move to like try and get away from you.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think you'd like that show too.
What was it called again?
Kevin Can Go F Himself. And it's on Netflix now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right up my alley. Whatever it is, it's right up my alley.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like a little discussion on it once we're
okay. How
maybe
many
like after the first season. I think there's a couple seasons, but we can like do a little check-in after we finish the first season.
Remember earlier when I was telling you about Dr. Umar saying about the $700 in allowance to help build him up? The woman asked him, what are the guarantees? Like she was saying, like, what are the terms? Like, if I do this, like basically what am I going to get out of it? She said, what are the guarantees? He said, there is no guarantees. There is no guarantees in love. Oh my God. When I tell you I lost it because I was cracking up so hard, like,
so
what is the point? And don't get me wrong, nothing is
point.
guaranteed in life, but
no, that's why there
for
is
him
no
to
point.
say it exactly like that, oh no. You know, that's just like if somebody wants to invest in a company. Okay, what's in it for me? Do I get a percentage? No, you just fork your money over. You don't get anything. He said it's so matter of fact. Like, no, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees in love. I literally laughed at that. Like the nerve.
God. Have you ever seen that clip of Share 7 where she's like reading a question and she's like, oh, my man doesn't, pay the bills and like he doesn't have money, he doesn't have a job, like, but we live together and like I pay our bills and blah, blah, like, what do I do to like put him in his mask? I don't know, something like that. And she's reading it and she just goes, You've been kidnapped by a broke man. You're not in a relationship. And
you're captive.
We may need an episode on how to tell if you've been kidnapped by a broke man.
Oh my God.
Giving a man of all people, giving a man $700 of your hard-earned money as a woman has got to be up there with the most idiotic things I've ever heard in that is the most obvious grift I've ever even heard of, because as a woman, you have to spend all but $700 every month just to look the way that you do.
Exactly.
Every single month. So, exactly. And a man does not have to do that. He should have $700 laying around. First of all, you don't have to do anything.
Even if it's $50, that's even worse because
that's even worse. He's gonna cheat on you anyway. Like, oh.
So, ladies, there is no amount. The higher the amount, the more it's like, absolutely not. The lower the amount, the more pathetic it is. Mm-hmm. So it's really a lose-lose. Like you should not.
Yeah. They have no cap.
Oh my God.
No cap on how much they will take from you in order to better themselves, because that's how they're taught and raised to view the world.
Yeah.
It's all there for you.
They're literally using you.
Yeah.
As firewood.
Yeah.
When you think about Lisa?
To stoke the fire, to stoke the flames of their success. We'll have to link that video. Sovereign got a real kick out of one of my TikToks.
I get a kick out of all of your TikToks, girl.
Thank you. Likewise.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
I love that we're like fans of each other's content. Like genuinely.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
I had to find a reason to. I'm going to find a way to put that in every fucking video from now on. Ladies, don't let these men use you for firewood.
I was going to say, while we're plugging each other's videos, my husband's favorite and mine of your videos is the demons that men battle every day.
Oh,
video. Yeah. I'm going to send that to Ryan to link it in the caption.
I made that back in the summer, I think.
I know. And we still talk about it.
Really?
He came home talking about that video. Like, he was like, I have to talk to you about something. I saw this video by Sovereign. But he said that video has the most truth in it about men, like fundamentally. Is just so good and like true about their nature. So we'll have to link that too. Okay, Ryan is saying we got to wrap it up. So we're gonna wrap
he
it
said
up.
Wrap it up. Okay, Ryan.
We'll see you guys after the break for a mailbag. All right, welcome back. Let's dig into our mailbag. We are keeping these anonymous for y'all's safety, but they are very kind. They say, I really loved your podcast. I'm glad you guys are spreading your wings and going to podcast format, since it seems like social media like TikTok and YouTube make some topics a bit harder. I follow YV Edit and Sovereign Woman on both YouTube and TikTok. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
We love you. We appreciate you.
That.
With the results of the election and the fact that more men are going to be openly misogynistic and hateful towards women, part of me feels like women are going to push for women's only spaces now. Republicans talk about going back to the 50s and 60s, but some men forget there were more female-only public spaces like colleges and apartment buildings. Do you think that will be making a comeback here in the States? I'm sure men are going to try and push their way in, like the female-only university in Korea. Also, with the attitude of men from the election, I found myself completely disinterested in men. Yeah. I was trying to find a podcast about it, and the word misandry popped into my head. When looking it up, there isn't much of anything related to it besides saying how bad it is to be one, although men openly can hate us online. Can you talk about misandry and female-only spaces?
Yeah. So I definitely know for a fact that female-only spaces are going to make a comeback.
I agree.
We do have to deal with them pushing their way in. We are going to have to deal with, like, business owners are going to have to deal with men wanting to sue for discrimination. Those things are going to happen. The only thing that we can really do is, like, really organize away from the public platforms, which is why I'm glad we have the Patreon, we have the podcast. And some content creators will kind of open up spaces for women to be able to email, women. We're just going to have to do a lot of stuff off the public platforms for sure. And
off the books.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. We do have Operation FemFreeze. So I had to plug that in.
.org. Femfreeze.org.
Yes, that was founded by Shar Henley. She's also on YouTube and TikTok, and you can start there. We're just pulling back our presence in a lot of these places that are not very welcoming of women, places that want to shut down women, places that need women in order to thrive, right? So it's going to take time. None of this stuff is going to happen overnight, but just keep your eyes open for any updates that we have, places that we can all go where we're keeping men out. I know once I get my Patreon up, I'm going to have a woman's only space on my Patreon. It will be written out clearly in the descriptions. And anybody who wants to waste their money, they can, but they won't be let into, our Zoom meetings and stuff. Only women will get those links. And we're already starting that. And what was her other question?
Misandry.
Oh, the Misandry. Misandry is just a word that men I don't know if men created it, but I feel like they did. Don't quote me on that. But a word that they use to
describe an imaginary condition.
Absolutely.
God.
I don't think there's too many women who hate men. Okay. Are there women out there who hate men? I'm sure there are. But those of us who they call misandrous, they're just doing that because women are taking our power back and we are putting ourselves first and we're not putting ourselves in harm's way. And we're really just centering ourselves, which there's nothing wrong with that. But they see that as misandry. Yeah. Even if women did hate men, let's just say for shits and giggles, yes, women hate men and there's a such thing as misandry. It would literally just be a response to misogyny.
Yes.
That's all it is. Like it's a direct response. It's not women don't just wake up and be like, "Oh, today is Thursday and I just feel like I'm gonna hate men today." Like no woman has ever done that. If women feel as though they hate men, they have a good reason. We have to deal with misogyny, we have to deal with assault, we have to deal with being silenced, we have to deal with so much crap from males in their patriarchal system. And women just don't want to be bothered. And the biggest difference between misogyny and misandry is misogyny, when men hate women, they literally want to harm and or kill you.
Not just want to, they do.
And they do. And when women so-called hate men, we just want to be left alone. So if we're going to talk about this so-called misandry, women just don't want to be bothered with men. We try to stay away. We try to stay away from men. We're not coming towards you. We're not trying to harm you. We're not invading your spaces. We just want to be left alone.
Just kidding.
I know, right?
So lucky, honestly.
Yeah. So that's the difference, and don't let any man use
There have always been male-only spaces. That's what drives me crazy. Like, y'all started that.
I know.
Y'all started that. Work used to be a male-only space. School used to be a male-only space. Everything the army used to be a male-only space. Like, women couldn't even go and die for their country because men were like, no, that's ours. Like, you're so greedy, and you still do it. Boys' night, all this kind of stuff. Like, it's designed around like keeping women out. And then women want to do it for their own safety. And the men throw a fit. They're like, this feels like hatred.
Babies. Yeah, so don't let any men try to gaslight you or make you feel bad or guilt trip you in any way. Just ignore it.
Ask them to show you the statistics. What are the misandry statistics?
Exactly.
Because you can show them the
perfect.
misogyny statistics very easily.
Easy. Mm-hmm.
Easy. The World Health Organization has those statistics because at this point it is a public health emergency.
Absolutely.
The World Health Organization has the abuse of women listed as a public health emergency. And there's no such thing for men, not even close. Not even close. There's like 3 stories that get circulated over and over again. And it's like there's one female teacher that had sex with her high school students. There's Lorena Bobbitt. And then there's like one other woman. I swear to God, like who else? There's a woman who like drowned her kids or something.
I completely agree.
But that's not even misandry.
It's really
that's
not.
A mental
that's the
psychotic
part.
break.
Right.
It's like, where are all the women that are just stabbing men out in the streets?
Raping men, assaulting them, attacking them. Where? Like, where?
Because at this point, like somebody was saying, like men need to no, you know what? Ryan just talked to us about this. I'm not going to go there.
Oh, yeah.
But there are natural consequences to one's actions. And let's just keep that in mind. And maybe it's time for women to start, being the source of those natural consequences. I'm just saying.
We completely
are part
agree
of nature.
with that. Yeah. You have every right to defend yourself.
Yep. All right. Well, that wraps up our mailbag. Thank you so much for the question. And thank you so much for supporting us, for being, subscribed to our social medias. We really, really appreciate every single one of you. And what is our recommendation for today? Do you have one, Sovereign, or should I throw one out?
You already know.
Yes. Oh, that's right. We said we were going to link some videos for y'all. That's right.
Remember, ladies, do not let these men use you as firewood. That what,
exactly.
Lisa?
To fan the flames of their success.
That will never get old. Oh. Firewood is crazy work.
We're going to put it on a t-shirt one day. One day. Maybe a sticker. We should start with stickers.
Stickers coming soon, everyone.
All right. Thanks so much, y'all. Check out the show notes for recommendations. We'll drop a couple of videos down there. And please make sure that you subscribe, support us on the Patreon. We would love to shout out even more people next week.
Yes.
And please remember, if you do sign up to the Patreon, I have a blog post coming out whenever this episode is going to drop for the VIP members in a couple days. I'll also have a blog post to go with it that's called A Day in the Life of a Mommy Bang-Maid, so that y'all can really read through all the practical implications of dedicating your entire life to a man that way, or being used as like firewood, so to speak, for a man. I lay it all out, okay? So keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
And subscribe if you want to see it.
It's really great.
Thank you. All right. Thanks so much, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.